Okay, if you're watching this video, it's because I had technical difficulties signing in. I'm currently in Spain with students, so Dr. Lawson let me do this ahead of time. Um, the case study that I chose to write about was a combination of schools that I've worked in, and in my experience, we've had primarily white student body, about 75%, and the rest of it split pretty evenly with Asian students, black students, and Hispanic students. Um, Most of my administrators have been males, and most of them have also been white, so I included that in the case study as well. Um, Interestingly, we've had a lot of turnover, and so I put that the building principal being um, new to the head principal role, with also some new assistant principals to kind of showcase how a building can be adrift a little bit when administration is changing. Um, when we get to the question about whether the school is collegial, conventional, or congenial, I would say that it's borderlining on collegial, but it's mostly at the congenial level because people are still mostly just being friends and they're teaching in isolation. Um, in the experience that I've had that I tried to express to the study was that it's difficult for staff to get out of their box and work together to get on the same page and have common assessments and common tests. And if leadership isn't strong in that area, then that culture is going to remain in the building. And that's something that takes a lot of time and development and effort on the administrator's part to make that a real change. Which then brought me to the professional development piece that we talked about in during this class, and it also kind of goes along with the congenial kind of attitude of the school, because it seems like most teachers just gather CEUs when they attend something, and those CEUs are not meant for actual learning. They're just meant to get a license in the next time they have to renew. There's funds available at our schools for teachers to go to trainings, but it's always the same 5 people that apply for those funds, and no one seems to really um, be pushing themselves to regularly attend trainings and use that money available by our school. Similarly, staff development is scheduled 3 times a year, once every trimester, and other than that, the history has been kind of a one and done approach, and that doesn't create good buy-in. Um, Students, similar to the case studies that we looked at examples in class, students are, generally well behaved. Language is an issue. Um, Administration, has started to try to address this issue, knowing that their bottom line is that students can't use certain words in certain language, but to have more of a collaborative approach and work with teachers, create a teacher-led group where they design the goals and the outcomes and try to have it come from the ground up. Um, Going back to the makeup of the students, one thing that we just ended with was culture, and I feel like this case study is a really good example of the importance of trying to hire to have a diverse staff that reflects your school's needs. It just must be very difficult to do that when um, the school isn't primarily one race or another. It would seem like a pretty easy solution if you had most of just one race, but when you have a mix, it's difficult to try and fill those holes. But I think I agree with the text and the presentations in class that when you want to have a culturally responsive school and an environment like that, students need to see themselves reflected in the leadership, so that there are no groups that are less achieving than others, and that achievement gap can be lessened. And that's how I closed the case study, was that anyone coming to observe would focus on that cultural diversity aspect in a in the future. How can they improve on that? Um, it seems like a lot of teachers have graduated from the system and come back to teach. So are they perpetuating their own idea of what school should be like, or are they trying to push themselves to make a new and better school that's more relevant to the times? And that, in a nutshell, is my case study. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next class.